Welcome back to the show, everybody. I hope you're all having a fantastic evening. It's been a tough 2 days here in Ireland, especially down the south, a lot of flooding and stuff like that with all that rain and heavy weather. But sure, we're here to brighten up your day and bring you a Premier League preview, Match Week 29. Joining me, as always, Mystic Mac, the Dazzler. How are we, Darren?
All good, man.
Good. That's a lovely hat you have on there, suited and booted. Looking well.
Got a really nice T-shirt here as well. Hang on, I just
very nice.
Show off.
I'll have 3 cheeseburgers. I'll have 3 cheeseburgers and a strawberry milkshake, please.
Second, please, Connor.
window 2, please. Card only. Let's kick this off. Lunchtime on Saturday. Potential banana skin. Brighton versus Liverpool.
Brighton at home here now, Eddie.
Yep.
The possibility of a little banana skin there, isn't there? Brighton have been team of Europe, but you found it tough against them at times, haven't you?
Yeah.
Couple of seasons. I'd have to think Liverpool will do enough to get over the line because they're in true performances at the minute. But a good start quite difficult, couldn't it?
It could, yeah. It could get, if Brighton can hold their resolve and hold us into maybe the second half, you could see that kind of nervous and anxiety that's been coming through in Liverpool, especially in the last couple of games. Like a boiling over frustration with not being able to get the job done and put to bed in the early stages of a game. We've seen it against West Ham, where we made life very difficult for ourselves and we opened up a lot of chances for them, really, with that high line and stuff like that. The Inter Milan game the other night was just absolutely shocking, to be honest. I mean, we were just, sections of the team were just so poor, really, you know what I mean? Just wasteful in possession, wasteful in front of goal, misfiring. And the thing about Brighton as well at home as well, they don't give up a lot of real good chances. You'll get a number of half chances, but you won't get a lot of real good chances. So if the chance comes begging, you kind of have to take it,
Yeah, absolutely. And we know, the last few weeks, but on the whole this season, they've been a pretty good team. They've been resolute. I would say Brighton are due a performance. And I think I'm gonna try and sell them the fact that we've got Liverpool, coming to the Amex, and we need to put a performance on for our fans because we've let them down for the last number of weeks. I think that's how he'll probably try and sell it, and you never know, it might be enough to fiddle.
Yeah, and they always raise their game against the top 5 or top 6 anyway. They always put on performance. Look, I was sitting in the Cop the day we played them at Anfield, and to be honest with you, we were lucky we got out of there with a draw, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Because they would have been full value for the win as well. And I know we created some chances in the latter halves of that game as well, but Ox that day was atrocious. Curtis was atrocious. I think Firmino was atrocious. It was a really bad display by us. And if you remember the game well, the likes of Gross and Trossard and stuff like that absolutely tortured us at times. Only for a display by Alisson, we were very lucky.
I was going to say, yeah, it was actually Alisson that to keep you in it, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pushing things onto crossbars and posts and whatnot.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go 2-1 on this one. I think it's going to be a tight affair. I think we might get there, but I don't think it won't be without drama like the previous games. What you thinking?
I was going to go 2-1 as well, so yeah, I'll stick with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, move on to, we've only 3 for the Saturday as well, so moving into the 3 o'clock, it's Brentford versus Burnley. Real bottom of the table, kind of 6-pointer, isn't it?
Yeah, it really, really is. Yeah, a massive victory last weekend with Norwich, and not just the victory, but the manner. Rich and Ericsson had a great game in the middle of the park from there, and we seen the return, albeit 2 penalties, but his movement looked a lot better. He looked a lot sharper, and he looked a little hungry than he has in previous weeks and stuff like that. So big game for Brentford. Burnley, this is going to be tough for Burnley, isn't it? This is going to be...
Yeah.
I don't think this is a great matchup for Burnley, if I'm honest. Sometimes you think Burnley can... you know, they can make it an anti kind of football game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Against Brentford, I think they play too quickly. I think they play too sharp. You know, they've got obviously Pinnock and with Kanyos and stuff like that. And you've obviously Ericsson pulling the strings in the centre of the park, Memo and Tony up front, and you've the boy David Raya back in goal. And I think it sets up really, really well. I'd be pretty shocked if we didn't see Brentford to their total and get one step closer to staying in this league. I think I'm going to go 2-1 Brentford.
Okay. It's an interesting conundrum, really, isn't it? Because Dice has been getting results, and he's been, you know, he's been boiled by some of the results in recent times. So I don't know. I have a feeling somewhere around a draw or something like that, which kind of doesn't hurt either of them, but doesn't really help either of them either. You know, that kind of way. But I'd imagine this is one that Burnley will be looking at as well and going, listen, we could have a good go off this one maybe and get something out of it. This will be one because, you know, they've been looking at some of those other games that would be really difficult for them. But Brentford is kind of, I know they play maybe a more expansive, kind of better, kind of on the eye football, but that they're similar in their level, aren't they? So I think.
I mean, if you're looking at the two of them as a, you know, I think you're going to be looking from those 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20s position table. You know, they're either one of these will definitely go down for my money, and the other one will stay up. And I think it'll be Burnley that end up going down in the end.
Yeah. Let's move on to 5:30. The evening kickoff. United versus Spurs. We won't dwell on it too long. We'll run through it pretty quick because we're going to be doing a Premier League preview for the game. It's
Stretford Sessions preview, you mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, listen, huge game. Obviously in the top 4 race. Spurs have the edge in this race at the minute. Spurs and Arsenal with, you know, games in hand, and but it's a massive game for United. I think after the performance last week, performance is as important as a result here, and to show a bit of pride for the jersey and stuff like that. I wouldn't be overly hopeful, but in this, and I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2. Yeah. I'm thinking a draw as well, or I think you know, it's weird to think what way Spurs might show up. You know what I mean? They could show up and they could be absolutely woeful, or they could show up and they could be sublime. You know, you just don't know with Spurs this season what you're going to get. Yeah, I think a draw is probably there or thereabouts. Maybe, you know, I don't know, just United coming in off such a bad result and Spurs coming in off a really good result. They absolutely slapped up everything. They'd be boiled by that result, but United obviously with something to prove coming back off that derby. They were so poor second half. But having said that, you're looking at United as well. They'll have one eye on Tuesday, is it? Atletico? Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? Tuesday?
Don't know. It's Tuesday. I'll be there.
Tuesday.
We will be live from Old Trafford on Tuesday.
Absolutely. Win, lose, or draw. Win.
It's funny because the only place that I've ever been in my life that the Wi-Fi was worse than my house is Old Trafford. So, there
you go. Whole litany of games on a Sunday. The Sunday feels like the Saturday this week. It's like they switched it out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 2 o'clocks. Starting off at Leeds versus Norwich. Massive game in the relegation battle.
Massive game. Obviously, you know, Leeds have been beaten again tonight by Aston Villa. You know, Stevie and putting the heat on Leeds there tonight. I think I kind of list some of the game, you know, and it seemed like as much tighter as they were Leeds, it still looked like Villa were A, the better footballers, and B, creating chances. Clinton Morrison mentioned that the biggest cheer tonight was the return of Bamford off the bench. And that could be huge for them going into Sunday, you know, really. Because this has to have an asterisk against it if you're Leeds, doesn't it?
Yeah, I looked at Norwich. I watched the Norwich game tonight against Chelsea, and I tell you, you know, something. I wouldn't have been surprised if I had ended up a draw. I thought Norwich second half and Dean Smith chased it up was absolutely brilliant. They really put it up to Chelsea and caused them a lot of concern. And, you know, if you had something a bit more than Timo Pukki up front, you might do a little bit better, to be honest. I just think he's just... I wonder how that guy...
they were going to miss the boy, Adam Ida. Was going to be a massive miss for Norwich.
Big time.
Because, you know, Pukki is more of a poacher. And Ida was the guy that was, you know, the sergeants and the Rashka and stuff like that. And it's going to be tough now.
Yeah.
It's the ball, he puts his head down, he just tries to head towards goal and see if he can get a shot off. You know, he's that kind of striker, isn't he, rather than bringing the rest of them into it. Yeah.
And for Leeds, I mean, obviously losing Junior Firpo tonight as well to look like a fairly bad injury. He was stretched off, sucking on the gas, basically, you know, so... hopefully he's okay, you know, but it didn't look good at all.
I won't be overly worried if he's put in on Anthony Elanga there 2 weeks ago. I think it's called Karma's Son. Enjoy your little.
What are you thinking on this one?
I'm gonna go 2-1 Leeds. Jesse Marsh to get his first 3 points on.
I'm going the opposite. I'm going to go 2-1 Norwich and really shake up this relegation battle.
I just put the cat amongst the pigeons, are we?
Yeah, I just think Norwich, I'm looking at them at the moment, bar, you know, what they offer up front. They kind of play okay football, don't they, under Dean Smith?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They do, you know. Obviously, you know, you have the boy Max Aarons and you've Brandon Williams and you've Billy Gilmore. You know, I think their biggest issue for me is that centre-back pairing. You know, was it Gibson and Hanley tonight?
I think so, yeah.
Miles off the pace. And Hanley, in general, I just think he's a bluffer. I really... Yeah. Let's see now. Yeah, it was Hanley Zimmerman and with a back three. You know, yeah. Didn't play, which is probably a good thing for Norwich. But I think, you know, when you have defence, as good as at times the boy Kabak looked at Liverpool, you're really struggling with centre back. He's so poor. He's an absolute championship player. Now, I'm surprised they didn't do a little more to try and get someone in the door to kind of shore.
Yeah. Yeah, we shall see, but it should be interesting for the relegation battle. Another team that are struggling at the moment and potentially in a relegation dogfight as well, Everton versus Wolves.
Yeah, so obviously when we did our Beat the Bookie episode, this was flagged up, you know, because I feel like Wolves, especially after tonight's performance, they've absolutely put Watford to the sword 4-0 tonight. And I'm really, really going to put them into on the front foot going into Sunday against Everton. Under the bells, we know how tight they are generally at the back. We know how much Everton have struggled finding how awful they are at the back. Wolves and both teams to score a 6-1. Phenomenal bet. Really phenomenal bet. And I'm going to say this is...
And unlikely to be the same odds based on tonight's result. That odds could have changed overnight potentially, so jump on it if you have a chance.
Possibly. We might be able to give you a little insight. I'm going 3-1 Wolves.
3-1 Wolves. Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think Wolves, they've kind of found their feet again, isn't there? There's an energy there again now while they're scoring goals. So they had fatigued for a couple of weeks there with a couple of poor results that they were grinding out. But yeah, Wolves 3-1 seems like a decent shout.
Still 6-1.
Yeah. Good.
For a result and about to score. Let's stay like that. That'll do us down to the ground. Making money.
Yeah.
Paper. Yeah.
Up next, Chelsea versus Newcastle. Chelsea in a little bit of disarray today with all the news coming out about the sanctionings
and obviously, you know, there's no Newcastle fans allowed at the game on Sunday, I believe, or where they'll have away fans. Is that right?
I'm not too sure. I think they have to honour whatever tickets are being sold. Isn't that what they're saying?
Yes. So they've got to honour what's been sold. Newcastle fans have bought their tickets ahead of Sunday's game. So I think they're okay. But I do think maybe the away game we'll see certainly less away fans. Sorry, the next home game we'll see less away fans.
Yeah.
Won't have the opportunity to purchase tickets.
Yeah.
But this could be a massive banana skin for Chelsea. I think Newcastle, I listened earlier on to it. In the year 2022, is 22 points in the league. Newcastle's is 20, and Man City's is. So, I mean, that's huge. That'll tell you they're playing. You know, they go away from home tonight and stuff like that. They go to St. Mary's, really tough to go. I'm big fans of the Governor Ralph there. And they grind out a 2-1 result without players showing into and stuff like that. So it's a big result for Newcastle. I think they're going to be super, super positive. And I think Newcastle will get something out of this. I think we're going to see a draw on Sunday. I think 2-2.
Okay, interesting. I wonder. I'm looking at Chelsea playing tonight. I thought at times they were really, really good. Played really, really well. Took their goals lovely. The Mount goal was a lovely finish into the roof of the net. But I wonder, will all this stuff that's coming out at the moment, will it galvanise them as a group to pull together as best they can as a team, and project outwards that kind of it's us versus the world kind of thing. That kind of.
Yeah, and I understand that you could get that out of it, but I don't know. It's heard of today. It's very limbo-ish, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think could foresee what's going to happen at Chelsea in the near future and the term future. There's so many questions, and I say, as a Chelsea, if I was a Chelsea player, I would be. This doesn't maybe seem like it's what I signed up for in the beginning. And I do think there's going to be a lot of lads kind of turning their heads and looking elsewhere. And how can we get out of here?
Yeah, it's a difficult one for them, and it's just I don't think we'll fully understand the situation probably for about 10 days to 2 weeks. Really, it's only really when they can't sell tickets. There isn't kind of away fans. There's only half a stadium in there because of whatever amount. I don't know how many season ticket holders they have. I was listening today. I thought it was somewhere. They said something around the 25,000 or something in terms of season ticket holders, something like that. So like 25,000.
Most expensive season ticket in the league.
Yeah.
So possibly why they aim rather than shifting a huge amount of season tickets, people might not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd probably looking at Chelsea as well. They'd be involved in a lot of corporate stuff as well, wouldn't they? So they'd be leveraging a lot of that coming in, big revenue coming in from those boxes and stuff like that, and premium seats and stuff and packages and stuff. And especially with the hotels and the bars around it as well, you can offer those kind of full packages and stuff like that and make real good money off them. Yeah, I think the draw. Yeah. Yeah, I just don't know what's going to evolve at Chelsea. I think it's going to take 2 weeks before we fully understand the real compass of what they really want to do. I think the government has shot in there with the sanctions and stuff like that, but I don't think that they've kind of deployed these sanctions in terms of as if it was a standalone type of company thing and not a live, raw company that evolves every day through merchandise and food and drink and tickets and matches and all that kind of stuff. It's a very live revenue kind of thing as opposed to a static revenue kind of thing. And I think they haven't fully thought it out in terms, like, it's not like they're sanctioning a property or a yacht or a car or a Jeep.
But I think that's why you're seeing them go into such these things like that, with what's clear and obvious and what's not. A good job on this, because I don't believe it's an easy task.
Yeah.
And I think account and I heard one of the MPs talk about it today, the culture of Chelsea as a football club and as a draw for the country and stuff like that, that they couldn't that either, that Chelsea have an importance to the club to their fans and to the country and stuff like. You know, I think they've done their best. Listen, it's a horrible situation. Don't forget. A horrible situation for anyone to be in. Least of all the Ukrainian people.
Yeah.
You know, our hearts are going out to, and if the UK had been able to draw some sort of that you know, Roman has links or ties with. I can't really blame them, and I have to say I'd almost commend them on what they've done.
Yeah, I think I suppose in the melee of all today's news, we're kind of remiss insofar as we forget that in the background of all this, there's a war going on in the country. There's hospitals being bombed and missile. There's people dying on the street. We've seen the footage and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then on the flip side of that, and I know sometimes we have to put things in perspective because, you know, we're here or the Chelsea fans are there, and their problem at the moment is tickets and the mega store being closed and not having an owner, and, you know, in disarray and not sure about what the future holds for their club that they hold near and dear, like we do with all our clubs. And it's just, as you said, the whole thing is just, it's a mess from top to bottom, really. And it's just, I think, if they were to, as you said, if they were to be able to establish links like that, then you would have to commend them on the moves that they make.
And listen, and I'm not, you know, Chelsea issue, because, you know, they are, the FA and the Premier League are opening Pandora's box with this a little bit, you know, because this is the first to the license like this. And you know, I certainly, in the last time they opened a list like or open a license like this, because, you know, we look at, spoken about it in the past, that you don't get to the position of owning a Premier League club on a few people's toes along the way, and, you know, and maybe they need to dig a little bit deeper in a fit and proper person's test and stuff like that. And again, I don't think anybody who owns, we spoke about it, but I think maybe, you know, maybe this sort of thing, if the process is a little more diligent.
Yeah. Well, I spoke to Ian today as well, who comes on, our Chelsea fan on the podcast and stuff like that. And we are going to come on and do another episode. But what I said to him is, I think what we should do is just wait a couple of days and see what evolves and what comes out of it, because a lot of what we're dealing with here at the moment is conjecture and hearsay. And I think, honestly, on some of the sanctions they're putting in there, they're going to have to figure out a way around that and stuff like that, to figure out, you know, how the mega store opens and how that cash is channeled into the right direction and not into the wrong hands. And the same with ticket sales and everything else. And this is, look, it's new for the club. It's new for the fans. It's you know, no one could have predicted this. As I said on the podcast we did about Roman 4 weeks ago, these guys were lifting the World Club Championship. They're the European champions. They're the world champions. 4 weeks later, they don't have an owner. They're in disarray. They're sanctioned up to their gills. You know what I mean? It's amazing how far-reaching, you know, an invasion like this can have on something that's so close and near and dear to your heart, but, you know, so many thousands of miles away, you know what I mean? So look, we'll keep an eye on it and see how it evolves, but I am going to do another episode with him, but I want to try and find out, get some, you know, proper constructive points to talk about rather than conjecture and hearsay as this evolves, you know. Next up, Southampton versus Watford.
I have to say, especially with the result tonight, obviously Southampton played pretty. Newcastle just managed to hold on for the victory, but I think Southampton had a lot of the play, and that's something when they go out and put in a performance and don't get a result, and you tend to find when that happens, they show up they deserve from the first game. You know, Watford have been absolutely mullered to Wolves. You know, really, really mullered, and they haven't put their best foot forward. Like, you know, it wasn't a very good performance, as well as the result being very poor and stuff. Yeah, I think this will be Southampton, if I'm honest. I think the boy Broja and Che, you know, maybe El Yanusi and Ward-Prowse and stuff, I think they'll love looking in the midfield. I think we can really get a go with these guys, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Southampton. What are you thinking? 2-1, 3-1?
3-1 Southampton.
3-1 Southampton, yeah. West Ham versus Villa, which is one of the games I'm really looking forward to at the weekend. Obviously, Stevie G in charge of Aston Villa doing a great job, but also Moyes in charge of West Ham and doing a great job. And I'm sure Stevie down through the years has had his issues with David Moyes as well, no doubt, through Merseyside derbies and stuff like that. And also, this should be interesting, shouldn't it?
Another great result for Villa tonight, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
3-0 at Elland Road. West Ham were away tonight in Europa Conference action. They lost 1-0 to Sevilla. El Haddadi with the goal. I don't think that's too Sevilla losing 1-0. Like, Sevilla are second in the league, if I'm right.
Yeah.
Terrible result at all. I mean, they've also gone in there without the boy Jared Bowen, who, let's be honest, he's their talisman.
Yeah.
They'll be looking to get a result here on Sunday to boost the confidence going into. I'd imagine, because I still think they're really in with the shake-up here of you know, maybe not a huge feather in their caps. So we know how good Sevilla are in Europe, and how toys over the last number of years. I think they owned that Europa League for a little while, didn't they?
They did, yeah. I think what did they win, a 3 out of 4 or something like that? They beat us.
They might have won. But they might have even, it might have been 3 in the bounce. They might have won 3 out of 4, but they're serious side in your massive pedigree and stuff. Julian Lopetegui doing a great job there, obviously. You know, it's always tough after the Thursday night football. I always mention that.
Yeah.
The Premier League and stuff like that. But the only thing I will say is they've the slight bonus that Villa would have played. However, Villa didn't have to traipse to Spain for it. Because, you know, there's your maybe 2.5 hours maybe from London to Sevilla, 2.5 hours back. There's your this, there's your that. You can just tire the players out a little bit. You know yourself.
Yeah.
Hour and 2, and all of a sudden you're a little bit, feel a bit tired after that. Don't feel.
And we've seen it this season. That's when West Ham have slipped up, is when they've come back after Thursday games.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know it'll be enough to, you know, to bury them completely. But Coutinho at the minute he's probably one of the main performers in the league at the minute. You know, I've got to say he's been phenomenal. He was great again tonight. Again, got another goal. And I don't know. This is a tough one to nail me flags to the mast on.
Yeah, I suppose when you're looking at it as well, you're looking at West Ham as well, who kind of play like they're solid and resolute in the way they play, but they're very obvious in the way they play. Whereas you look at Aston Villa at the moment, they're dangerous from so many places at the moment, and it's not necessarily very obvious how it's going to go. I mean, if you look at tonight they had Matty Cash scoring, they had Callum Chambers scoring. You know what I mean? There's 2 guys there who you wouldn't necessarily normally put on the score sheet. I know Matty Cash at time pops up with a goal here and there, but as you mentioned last week, Callum Chambers, after going in there, what a shrewd bit of business that's been for Stevie, you know.
It was one right out of left field, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily think he was on anyone's.
No.
He was at Villa. He was coming in to replace the leaving Axel Tuanzebe, and then, you know, playing games, he's, you know, making Cruyff turns, he's scoring goals, he's hitting balls at the outside of his foot. You know, it's mad what confidence can do.
Amazing when you're happy where you're playing, what it can do for you, isn't
it? I think I'll go 2-1 Villa on this.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. I'm thinking 2-1 Villa. I think Stevie will keep it going. The Super Sunday, Arsenal versus Leicester.
I was talking about Arsenal earlier on, you know, when have had a good result tonight, haven't they? They beat Rennes 1-0 in the in the conference and stuff like that. But in the Europa. Yeah, in the Europa League. But you know, Leicester have all been team for Arsenal, and with Jamie Vardy coming back at it, he likes that Emirates. He likes scoring. You know, I think that Arsenal back four have looked a little bit ropey in the last few weeks. Obviously, that was a little bit more, a little bit tighter than it needed to be. You know, getting at Arsenal, really, really do. But I think Arsenal are in very confident. And I think it'll take a lot to stop them. But I think Leicester might have something for them. And I'm gonna go 1-1.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2-2. I think there's an openness to both teams as well. So I think we could see a few goals as well. So I'm thinking 2-2.
I think it was the beginning of last season where they played the Friday night football, remember? Might have been 3 years ago, and I think Leicester thumped them, didn't they? It was like a game of basketball. It was you score, we score, you score, we score. Same thing. I think there's that openness about them. A few goals, you know. I think Ramsdale and Schmeichel are gonna have their work cut out, but 2 great goals. See how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we round out Monday night, the 8:00 Monday night football, Palace versus Man City. Hopefully Liverpool put a bit of pressure on City with the early kickoff on the Saturday. If they can close the gap to 3, creates a little bit of pressure. Not a great place to go, Selhurst Park on a Monday evening.
Absolutely not. No, especially in the form Palace are in. Tell the minute they're playing very well. I see something earlier on. A guy we've talked about regularly on the podcast since Michael Elise. Apparently Gareth Southgate is high on the kid, trying to get him a call up maybe on Thursday when the squad is announced. Agents from France, because he's been a French under 21 international. He's got a Nigerian as well, but he does qualify for English for the English national team, and I think Southgate's trying to screw a little bit and see if he can get him involved. He will be a great, what I have to say. I highly rate this kid. For times, he's an ex-Chelsea kid, went to Reading. He's at Palace now. Get a hand off to have him at United next season in a heartbeat. I just think he glides with the football. He knows how to finish. You know, he's a top player, this kid. Keep your eye on him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard
City,
to see. Yeah.
Listen, it is hard to see City dropping anything, but we've talked about City all season. They've been maybe just doing enough to get over the line and stuff like that. Obviously, Sunday was a little bit different, and you know they played an extreme, able to pull them apart. But I think that says as much about us as it did City, if I'm honest. Performance at all. I've heard people argue about that during the week. I didn't think City were amazing at the level they're at the minute. They maybe weren't at their best and still thumped us forward. I could see City being slightly off the boil on Monday, though, for a result like that, and maybe have the way, you know, to follow it up, because obviously on Wednesday night in the Champions League, you know, they're 5-0 up. They go out and send out a couple of changes, and all of a sudden you lose that momentum going forward. Palace quite recently, last couple of years, remember the Andros Townsend win, Patrick Vieira, an ex-City player, going there as well. Like, sometimes the stars are just, I'm gonna say 2.
Just give me that again there. You broke up. 2-2?
Yeah.
2-2. That's a big shoot. I don't know. I'm looking at City, and I'm looking at their run in, and I'm thinking if they are going to slip up, it's maybe going to be something that might shock us. It might be one that we would obviously think might happen, and that's where it might happen. I think it's a tough place to go. It's an 8:00 kickoff. Palace are playing well. They'll be well set up with Vieira. I think City will probably just shade it again, maybe 2-1 or something like that. They've been doing it all season, where they've just done enough to get the job done each time. I'd be surprised. I'd be happily surprised, but I'd be surprised if
you'd be happy. You'd be happy provided Liverpool did.
Yeah.
You know, it might only be you getting off the lead if 3 points City drop a couple, you know.
Yeah. Well, I did mention over the next 3 fixtures, I think it was, starting with the West Ham one. It's the first set of 3 fixtures this season where we play before Man City to put the pressure on. So that's obviously vital. But I mean, we have to go out and not worry about Monday night, go out and do our job, be professional about it, and keep the title race alive. Because I do believe if we drop any points at this stage until we get to the Etihad, I think it's title race over. Because I think any slip up by us at all, City would be so buoyed by that. I think if we draw against Brighton or we drop points to Brighton, I think City will pump Palace because they'll be so pumped up for it. To put that nail in. You know what Pep is like? He goes 4-0 up and he wants 8-0. He's just relentless in the way that he thinks and stuff like that. And I think, you know, when you see that second half against United where they just turn it up just a fraction, and the gulf is massive, you know what I mean? And here you have a similar situation. Palace will try and probably make it a bit dogged and a bit boggy with Selhurst Park, but I think City have the quality to step up above that. But we'll see. Be an interesting one, but I think City might just shade a 2-1. This is what they've been doing all season. These 1-0s and these 2-1s where they've just done enough to need what they get what they need. Well, until next time, this has been your Premier League preview, Match Week 29. Absolutely flying by. We're really coming down into the business end of the season now. As always, drop your predictions down in the comments there. Let us know what you think. If you get a couple of them right or you get a good few right, we might even furnish you with one of those lovely snapbacks that Darren is modelling there. A Shankly Session snapback. They're pretty sweet.
Did we get any right tonight? No, did we?
I think we got most of them right, didn't
we? I happen to know I had Chelsea to win 3-1. I know that.
I think we did. I think
we had Villa.
We definitely had. I think we had Newcastle.
Didn't draw in the Newcastle.
I had Newcastle, didn't I?
I had a draw in the Newcastle.
Yeah, I think that's the only. And I think we thought. Did we think the Wolves game would be slightly Wolves, but more difficult than what it was?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, listen, we weren't a million miles away in fairness. I was looking at it as well. I noticed as well when we did do the preview as well for the game, you had mentioned Jimenez and Podence and stuff like that in there, and they're the boys that got the goals tonight, so it was a great shout in fairness.
Yeah, Podence were both on the score sheet, weren't they? And the boy Neto came off the bench again and looked terrific. And get the score sheet.
And I think Neves got the tour, did he?
Neves chipped the keeper. Good quality.
He's a heck of a baller, isn't he, Neves? Heck of a baller.
Absolutely.
There's so much quality players around the league, isn't there? That, you know, we could argue should be applying their trade at a much higher level. Imagine Neves. I'd love to see Neves playing in the Champions League.
I'd love to see United jersey.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Let's see what happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd be all over that, you know. And I'd be all over the boy Michael Elise.
Yeah.
And you know, I'd be all over, you know.
And Antonio Rudiger.
Rudiger and Armando Broja, and you know, there's
Conor Gallagher.
The list is endless. Philippe Coutinho.
That's going to be very interesting, that Chelsea dynamic, how that loan book is handled, isn't it? Because that all has to be filtered down now as well, doesn't it? And has to go on the slim fast plan, if you like. So there could be a lot of wheeling and dealing to be done there for the likes of Gallagher, Billy Gilmore, Broja, lads like that. You know what I mean? There could be.
I think what is, you know, obviously, you know, if nothing can be done with the boys who are running out of their, you know, the boy Christensen and Rudiger and stuff like that. Their deals are out this summer. New deals, so that's obviously going to be very, very difficult to get over the line. When the other lads come back, the squad, because I don't imagine the money is going to be there, you know, because obviously when they spoke about it, about Chelsea run at a net loss every year, you know, and our was just millions. That won't happen with, you know, in America.
Yeah.
And typically, and as I listened today again to the out about the club, there's no Saudis involved at the minute. There's no Chinese involved in any talks. Any of the protagonists for the Chelsea hot seat have been American investment funds. So huge change for Chelsea. going from the deep and Abramovich to an American investment fund where maybe they're taking a dividend out, but the books have to balance and stuff like that,
Yeah, well, you're not going to get the opportunity to go out and throw 50 million at a Werner and then try and correct that by throwing 100 million or 90 odd million at a Lukaku, and then that doesn't work and throwing another 150 million at a Haaland. That's just not going. Those days are gone. That's just not going to happen. But I'm just thinking in terms of this new loan move stuff that's coming in now, where I think you can only have 10. And we know how bloated Chelsea's loan book is. It's absolutely massive. It's a massive part of their structure and their business and their culture. And I think that's where it could come unraveled a little bit there, where you're trying to figure out all these other guys coming back in and who goes out and who comes in and how many can you loan out and what you're allowed to do and what business you can do out there and stuff like that, and like they would have. I know they've often put a number of loanees into the Russian league as well, haven't they? Haven't they lent players out to Moscow and stuff like that and all? And you know what I mean? So
Yuri Zhirkov went at one stage, didn't he, and stuff like that. I think it was another couple of boys and stuff.
Yeah. So it should be interesting to see how it all unravels and what way it goes. But there could be a number of teams vulture circling for some really good deals for some really good players who have been outstanding players this season. Some of the standout players this season.
Listen, here's the thing. If you've got Gilmore, if you've got a Conor Gallagher, if you've got an Armando Broja, got a Tino Livramento, if you've got guys like that out there, they will absolutely 110% that squad next season and replace what may leave to create some sort of a war chest for Thomas Tuchel to go and do it on all fronts next season, put in a challenge and stuff like to get more difficult for them, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I think there's going to be an adjustment period. I think of somewhere between 2 years to 3 years before they kind of figure out what way this is really going to work and how they're going to recalculate their finances to bring it back around to know what way they're going to do business and stuff like that. And it's going to be really interesting,
Well, I mean, these American investment funds, they're not there to lose money.
No.
So at the minute, all of those guys we've mentioned who are out in the loan book, they're assets. And if they can be sold and if you can garner a certain amount of money for those players, then that gives you capital to go out and reinvest in the squad, but it'll have to be the loan book because this is gone now for Chelsea. This having 10, 15, 20 players is all across Europe. This won't happen anymore now, obviously with FIFA, but what's happened, but also what's happened owner's point of view with Abramovich and stuff like that,
Yeah, it's going to put a lot of pressure on their scouting system as well because you just can't get it wrong.
And, listen, they've got recently.
Yeah.
And listen, the jury is very much out on Lukaku. Personally, I don't on Timo Werner. I think he's a flop. I don't think you can look at him any other way at this stage. I think the boy footballer, really, really smashing footballer. I think the boy Ziyech, he's a little bit moody and stuff like that. And then obviously the boy Pulisic, who maybe doesn't have the levels of consistency or the physicality to do it in the Premier League. I'm not sure, but the other week as well, so there's a lot in it for them.
Yeah, I think from the position they're in, they're gonna have to be dealing with players that's going to give them 30 plus games a season, aren't they? In the league,
absolutely.
They can't be carrying lads that are going to be out injured, missing large pockets of it.
No.
Well, listen, pleasure having you on as always for the Premier League preview. As I said, we will be dropping a preview for Brighton versus Liverpool, and we're also going to be doing a Stretford sessions for Man United versus Tottenham. Till next time,
pray for me, folks. Pray for me.
Light a candle.
#